Genghis Khan's name echoes through time as one of history's most feared and successful military leaders. Under his banner, the Mongols united and became the largest, contiguous, land-based empire in history. They achieved this by leveraging innovative military tactics and an uncanny ability to adapt to different environments. But Genghis Khan and his successors didn't just conquer for the sake of conquest. They established law codes that were surprisingly progressive for their time. They actively encouraged trade and cultural exchange along the Silk Roads and appointed non-Mongols to influential positions in the empire. So how did the Mongols forge such a vast empire, and what valuable lessons can we learn from their rise to power? Genghis was born around 1160 AD near the Anan River, which is today the border between Mongolia and Russia. His birth name was Temujin, and he belonged to a small Mongol clan called the Borgajit. The Mongols were initially divided into several tribes and clans that often clashed with each other. There wasn't a unified Mongol nation, but rather a collection of nomadic groups living in the vast steppes of Central Asia. Each tribe followed its own chief, and together they would come under the overlordship of powerful neighbors like the Kara-Katai, a Turkish dynasty that ruled northern China at the time. When Temujin was 9 years old, members of a rival clan poisoned his father Yasuge. This left Temujin and his family without protection in an unforgiving environment. According to Mongol tradition, the men of the clan had to avenge their father's death or suffer the scorn of their tribe. But young Temujin was too young to participate in the planned revenge attack, so he and his family were instead exiled to live on their own. In order to survive, Temujin hunted animals and lived off the land. To make matters worse, his father's former allies turned against them. And when Temujin reached the age of 16, he was captured in a raid and spent several years as a slave. During his captivity, Temujin learned the language and customs of his captors, the Karaite people, and even married a Karaite princess named Bort. Eventually, Temujin and his brother escaped captivity and began assembling a small band of loyal followers. One of his early victories was against the tribe that had enslaved him, showing his exceptional military skills. He built alliances with other Mongol tribes, gradually expanding his influence and uniting the previously fragmented Mongol people. Through a combination of diplomacy and strategic marriages, Temujin solidified his position as the leader of the Mongols. In 1206, he officially proclaimed himself as Genghis Khan, meaning Ocean of Virtue or Righteous Leader. At this point, the Mongol tribes were united, but their territory still faced constant threats from outside powers. The Kara-Katai were the most immediate concern. Initially, Genghis Khan tried diplomacy to secure peace with the Kara-Katai, but when that failed, he went to war. In 1218, he launched a surprise night attack on the city of Karakoram, which was the capital of the Kara-Katai. Despite the city's large size and strong defenses, the Mongols managed to capture it after a 3-month siege. This victory marked the beginning of the Mongol Empire. From here, Genghis Khan and his generals, like his grandson, Batu, would launch a series of lightning-fast campaigns across Asia and Eastern Europe, conquering vast territories with astonishing speed. One of the first things we notice about the Mongol conquests is the sheer scale of their empire. At its greatest extent, the Mongol Empire stretched from the Pacific Ocean to Eastern Europe, covering over 24 million square kilometers, roughly equivalent to present-day Brazil. This makes it the largest contiguous land-based empire in history. To put this into perspective, the largest modern country by landmass, Russia, covers around 17 million square kilometers. So the Mongol Empire was nearly 50% larger than modern Russia. The Mongol army's ability to travel such long distances and conquer diverse lands can be attributed to several factors. Firstly, the Mongols were excellent horsemen. They grew up in a nomadic culture where horses were essential for transportation, hunting, and warfare. They were highly skilled in archery and could ride for days without sleep. Secondly, the Mongol army was well organized. It consisted of various units such as infantry, cavalry, and artillery. They also kept detailed records of their soldiers, which helped in logistics and planning. Lastly, the Mongols employed psychological warfare, which involved intimidating their enemies before battle to demoralize them. For example, they would send messages threatening total destruction or pretend to be much larger than they actually were. All these factors combined made the Mongol army a formidable force that could conquer vast territories quickly. The Mongols weren't just military conquerors. They also established a legal code called the Yasa. The Yasa was a set of laws and regulations that governed the Mongol Empire. It covered various aspects of life, including family, property, and trade. The Yasa promoted social order and stability within the empire. Here are some interesting features of the Yasa. Firstly, it was a comprehensive legal code. It addressed various issues from inheritance to taxation to criminal offenses. The penalties for crimes ranged from fines to imprisonment to exile or even death. Secondly, the Yasa protected the rights of women. For example, a woman could initiate a divorce, and she had the right to own and inherit property. However, despite these progressive elements, the Yasa was also harsh and brutal. It allowed for slavery, and it did not recognize the equality of all people. For instance, non-Mongols known as the subjects were often subjected to discriminatory laws and heavy taxes. Overall, the Yasa was a complex legal system that tried to regulate various aspects of life in the Mongol Empire. While it had some progressive elements, it was also oppressive and discriminatory towards non-Mongols. Genghis Khan and his successors also had a unique approach to governance. Despite the vastness of the empire, they were able to maintain control over their subjects through a combination of military force, a merit-based civil service, and a sophisticated postal system. The Mongols believed in rewarding loyalty and competence regardless of ethnicity. As a result, they appointed non-Mongols to influential positions based on their abilities. For example, the famous Muslim scholar and diplomat Jamal al-Din al-Suyuti served as the Grand Judge of the Mongol Empire. The Mongols' open-minded approach to governance allowed them to benefit from the expertise of people from different cultures. Another significant impact of the Mongols was their role in facilitating trade along the Silk Roads. The Silk Roads were a network of trade routes that connected the East and the West. The Mongols encouraged trade by providing security along the routes and by establishing trading posts and inns. This led to the exchange of goods, ideas, and cultures between different regions. The Mongols' policies facilitated the spread of inventions, knowledge, and cultural practices, contributing to the interconnectedness of the world. For example, the printing press and gunpowder from China spread to Europe via the Silk Roads during the Mongol era. The Mongols' promotion of trade and cultural exchange had a profound impact on the world. It fostered economic growth and the diffusion of knowledge and ideas. The establishment of trading centers and the provision of security along trade routes facilitated the exchange of goods, technologies, and cultural practices between different regions. Through the Pax Mongolica, the Mongols indirectly connected distant civilizations and enabled them to interact and exchange their knowledge. The lasting impact of the Mongols on trade and cultural exchange serves as a testament to their influence on world history. It's important to note that while the Mongol Empire is often associated with violence and destruction, they also had a rich culture and made significant contributions to art, literature, and science. For example, The Secret History of the Mongols is an epic poem that chronicles the history of the Mongol Empire. It provides insights into their culture, beliefs, and values. The Mongols also excelled in equestrian art, and they developed unique musical instruments. However, despite their cultural achievements, the Mongol Empire eventually fragmented. After the death of Genghis Khan, his successors struggled to maintain control over the vast empire. Internal conflicts and the lack of a clear succession led to the division of the Mongol Empire into several independent khanates. Nevertheless, the Mongol Empire remains an important topic in history, because it was a vast and diverse empire that spanned across continents. The Mongols' ability to unite different cultures and facilitate trade and cultural exchange had a profound impact on world history. They introduced new technologies, ideas, and cultural practices to different regions, fostering interconnectedness and innovation. Additionally, the Mongols' military prowess and innovative tactics, as well as their legal code and approach to governance, provide valuable insights into their society and worldview. Studying the Mongol Empire allows us to understand the complexities of world history and the interactions between different civilizations. It also offers lessons in leadership, adaptability, and the impact of cultural exchange on societies. Thanks to technological advancements and increased global connectivity, our world today is more interconnected than ever before. and in many ways the world we live in is shaped by the events and exchanges that took place during the Mongol Empire. Today, Genghis Khan is often portrayed in popular culture as a ruthless conqueror who unleashed the wrath of the Mongols upon the world. Some historians argue that the Mongol conquests resulted in the deaths of tens of millions of people, making it one of the deadliest in history. This narrative paints the Mongols as uncivilized barbarians who enjoyed inflicting pain and suffering on others. However, this portrayal is a gross simplification of a complex historical event. The Mongol conquests, while undoubtedly violent, were a product of various factors, including the political, economic, and social conditions of the time. Furthermore, the Mongols were not a monolithic entity, and their actions cannot be attributed solely to bloodlust or a desire for conquest. Instead, it's important to adopt a nuanced perspective when examining their history. By doing so, we can gain a deeper understanding of the forces that shaped their behavior and the lasting impact they have had on world history. Understanding the complexities of the Mongol conquests and appreciating their cultural achievements and contributions to trade and cultural exchange provides a more balanced and accurate portrayal of this fascinating period in history.